Welcome to the Depth Dive. We're getting into some really potent ideas today.
We are. It's from an excerpt you shared, and it maps out this path to, well, personal freedom, really.
Yeah, a pretty radical shift in how we deal with the world and maybe more importantly with ourselves.
We're focusing on one core principle from this source, something it says is key for our interactions and, finding inner peace no matter what's happening outside.
Right. And it's apparently built on a first agreement, though we're zeroing in on the second one today.
Exactly, the second agreement.
So our mission, pretty straightforward, but I think quite deep. Unpack this specific idea. Don't take anything personally. We want to explore why that's so hard sometimes and what incredible benefits the source claims it offers.
And we're sticking just to the material provided.
Just the material. And honestly, this idea of achieving, immunity in tough situations, that sounds, well, that alone makes me want to dive in.
It does. The source really positions this as fundamental, not just advice, but a key to peace that comes from inside you, not from others changing or things going perfectly.
Okay, let's get into it. So the source uses a really direct example, right? Someone calls you stupid.
Yeah. And it says, if you take that personally, well, it suggests that somewhere inside you actually agree with it.
Oof. And that agreement is what lets the poison, as the source calls it, get in.
Exactly. That's what traps you in what it vividly calls a dream of hell, basically a state of suffering.
And what's behind that reaction? The source points to something called personal importance.
It's quite stark, actually. It calls taking things personally the maximum expression of selfishness.
Selfishness. Because you think everything's about you.
That's the idea. You assume it's directed at you, about your world. It's a habit, deeply ingrained for most of us, according to this.
This is where it gets really interesting, that perspective shift. The source just flat out says, nothing other people do is because of you. It is because of themselves.
Right. They're living in their own movie, essentially. Their own reality, built on their own stuff, experiences, beliefs, agreements, is totally separate from yours.
So when you take it personally, you're kind of imposing your reality onto theirs, assuming they see things the way you do.
Exactly. You're assuming they even know your world. And the source argues, even if someone is trying to hurt you, it still comes from their internal landscape, their fears, their programming, their domestication, as the source puts it, their agreements.
Okay, so let's say someone says, I don't know, you look tired, or that was a bad call. The source says, just don't take it personally.
Right, because that comment reflects their filter, their feelings, maybe even their own stuff, their insecurities.
And that's where the poison metaphor comes back in. They're trying to send it, and if you take it personally...
You drink it, you accept it. And that makes you vulnerable. Easy prey is the term used.
Easy prey for what the source calls black magicians. People who manipulate with opinions.
Yeah, feeding you their emotional garbage.
Yeah.
And you just eat it up.
And once you eat it, it's your garbage, your burden.
But here's the promise, right? If you don't take it personally, the source says you achieve immunity in the middle of hell.
Immunity. That's a powerful word for it. It suggests this taking things personally is the root of so much conflict, too.
Definitely. You get offended, you need to defend yourself, your beliefs.
And suddenly small things blow up into big fights, all because you need to be right, make them wrong.
And it works both ways. You project your stuff onto them just as much.
The source mentions someone, Miguel, right, as an example.
Yes. Saying, people can call him the best or the worst, but he doesn't take it personally because he knows who he is internally.
He doesn't need their opinion to define him.
Exactly. Their reaction, praise or criticism, it reflects their state.
Yeah.
Happy, angry, scared, whatever. It doesn't change his reality about himself. Their thoughts are theirs.
Okay, but what about when someone says something you did or said genuinely hurt them? How does the source handle that?
That's a really striking part. It suggests it wasn't your words themselves that caused the hurt, but that you maybe touched on wounds they already have. So in a way, they're hurting themselves through their reaction to their own triggers.
Which you just happen to bump into.
Right. It uses this analogy of everyone being the star of their own movie. Director, producer, main actor.
And everyone else is just a supporting character in their film.
Exactly. And how they see the movie depends entirely on their script, their agreements. It's their truth, not the truth.
So if they react badly to you, you might just be the convenient excuse for their own fear or pain to come out.
That's the framework presented.
And the source directly links taking things personally to all those negative emotions. Anger, jealousy, hate, sadness.
And it says they're all rooted in fear. If you weren't operating from fear, if you're coming from love, those emotions wouldn't stick.
The logic being, if you're not feeling those negative fear-based emotions, you probably feel pretty good.
Right. And when you feel good inside, the world tends to look good too. You're happy, peaceful, in a state of bliss is the phrase. You can love things because you love and accept yourself.
It's quite insistent. Whatever anyone does, thinks, says, don't take it personally. Even praise.
Even praise. If they say you're wonderful, you don't need to absorb that either. You should already know your worth, is the implication.
You don't need them to tell you.
Right. And it uses a really extreme example, doesn't it? About physical attack.
Yeah, suggesting even that comes from the attacker's internal state, not truly about you personally. That's intense.
It is. And then it turns this whole principle inward, which is maybe even more challenging.
How so?
It suggests that even the opinions you have about yourself might not actually be true.
Whoa.
So you shouldn't necessarily take what you hear inside your own head personally either.
Okay, wait. My own internal voice. How does that work?
Well, the source talks about the mind's constant chatter. It talks to itself, it listens to itself. But it also brings up this idea that the mind can perceive information from, well, other sources. It mentions concepts like other realms, allies, gods.
So thoughts might pop in that aren't strictly mine from my core self.
That seems to be the idea. Like the mind is a receiver picking up signals. And you have the choice, the right, to believe those voices or not. To take them personally or not.
It describes the mind talking and listening to itself like one hand shaking the other.
Yeah. And the real difficulty comes from what it calls the mitote.
Mitote.
Yeah, that chaotic state where 1,000 parts of your mind are all speaking at the same time, like a noisy marketplace in your head.
And that chaos comes from all the conflicting ideas and agreements we've picked up over time.
Exactly. Each agreement has its own voice, apparently, leading to this constant internal battle.
Which explains, according to the source, why we often don't know what we want or how or when. We're literally not in agreement with ourselves.
And this all loops back to suffering. Taking things personally just sets you up for it.
The source even suggests we get used to suffering, maybe even addicted to it.
On different levels, yeah.
Yeah.
And that we kind of support each other in maintaining these addictions.
How? Like if you feel you need mistreatment, you might attract people who provide it.
Or if someone needs someone to dump their negativity on, something in you might draw that in.
Right.
Like you're both validating these underlying unhealthy agreements.
And it mentions lies too, doesn't it? That people lie to us.
And crucially, that we lie to ourselves.
So don't expect perfect truth from others because they might not even be truthful with themselves.
Right. The real emphasis is on trusting yourself to figure out what's true for you, what to believe.
And not taking things personally helps you do that. Helps you see people more clearly.
Yeah, because your own emotional reaction isn't clouding your view as much. You can be less hurt.
And even if they are lying, you might see it comes from their fear, maybe. Fear of not measuring up or something.
That's the perspective offered. But it also hammers home that you must be truthful with yourself.
No self-deception, especially about people's actions versus their words.
Right. And it admits being truthful with yourself can hurt at first. But you shouldn't cling to that pain. It's part of healing.
This seems really relevant for relationships. The source says if someone isn't treating you well,
it's almost a gift if they leave. Because if they stay, you might just suffer longer.
That's a tough perspective, but okay. It hurts when they go, but you heal and you're free to choose better next time.
And the trust isn't placed in them acting right. The trust is in yourself to make the right choices for you.
Okay, so the payoff. Making don't take anything personally a real habit.
Yeah.
What does the source promise?
Huge things, really. Fewer upsets, less anger, jealousy, envy. Even sadness can apparently just dissolve.
You become really resilient.
Incredibly resilient is the idea. Nothing outside can easily pull you back into suffering. It offers a huge amount of freedom.
Freedom. And that immune to black magician's line again. No negativity or spell can touch you.
If you don't take it personally, yeah. Gossip, emotional poison, it might get sent your way, but you just don't ingest it.
And interestingly, it suggests that poison then stays with or even harms the sender more.
That's the implication. It's presented as a really critical agreement because it helps break down so many other little habits and patterns to keep us stuck.
So practicing this one thing starts to unravel dozens of smaller suffering agreements.
Yeah, the source even claims that this agreement, plus the first one, could dismantle maybe 75% of those limiting beliefs.
Wow, 75%. And there's that practical tip, too.
Oh yeah, the simple suggestion. Physically write it down. Don't take anything personally.
And put it somewhere you'll see it often, like the fridge or mirror, a constant reminder.
Exactly. Just to keep it top of mind.
And as this gets more ingrained, more automatic,
Your safety, your well-being, it doesn't depend on what others do or say anymore.
it comes from trusting yourself, trusting your own choices.
Right. You're only responsible for your own actions, your own side of the street, not theirs.
And when that really lands, the source says you're hardly hurt by the careless comments or actions of others.
It allows you to be more open, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Less afraid of being judged or rejected.
So you can ask for what you need, say yes or no honestly, without feeling guilty.
Yeah, and just follow your own path, what feels right for you.
And the ultimate promise is pretty amazing. Even if things are objectively difficult in the middle of hell.
You can still maintain inner peace, inner
Yeah.
happiness.
Yeah. Stay in your state of bliss, and the external stuff will not affect you at all. That's the claim.
Wow. That's quite a promise from one shift in perspective.
It really is.
Hmm.
Just reflecting on the sheer power this source attributes to this one agreement, don't take anything personally. Freedom from suffering, immunity, less conflict. It's huge.
Yeah, and all stemming from how you choose to respond internally. That practical tip, writing it down, seems like a solid, concrete step anyone could take.
Definitely. It really highlights that shift, doesn't it? Moving your trust away from how others behave.
And putting it firmly in yourself, in your ability to make conscious, responsible choices for your own life. Because, like the source says, you're only responsible for you.
Right. And yet this same source throws in that curveball. Even the opinions you hold about yourself might not be true.
And that internal chaos, the mitote, might contain voices, ideas that aren't authentically yours. They could be conditioning or even other influences.
So, okay. That leaves us with a really interesting question, doesn't it, for you, the listener?
Yeah, this source tells you to trust yourself to make responsible choices.
But also warns that the thoughts and voices inside your own head might be misleading, part of that inner noise.
How do you actually discern your true self, your authentic truth within that internal marketplace?
What does trust yourself truly mean when you're navigating your own potentially unreliable inner landscape? Something to think about.